Good morning, students. Today we are going to see about the geography lesson, Unit 5, Biosphere. Already in the previous classes, you learnt about lithosphere, hydrosphere and atmosphere. Now, all these three spheres together form the biosphere. Now, in today's lesson, we are going to learn about the scope and meaning of biosphere. To understand what is ecosystem, the meaning of ecosystem, components, functions and biodiversity of the ecosystem. You are also going to learn about the major biomes of the world. Then the need for the conservation of these biomes. So before going to the lesson, let me tell you about some important terms you are going to come across in this lesson. Fauna and flora. You know what is this fauna and flora? All the animals and birds, insects. Flora means all the flowers. So you are going to learn about the fauna and flora that is in the world. The term biosphere, ecosystem, what is ecology, who are ecologists, biomes, habitat, biodiversity. So, in this lesson you are going to come across all these new terms. So, coming to the lesson, let us focus on the topic biosphere. What is this biosphere? Already you have learnt about the three spheres that are present on the earth, that is lithosphere, atmosphere and hydrosphere. All these three together provide an environment that is useful or needed for all the living beings to survive. That layer is called, or that sphere is called as biosphere. And this biosphere, we have the fourth layer, and it is the life supporting layer that exists on the earth. So, in this biosphere, we have all the fauna and flora that is present on the earth. The animals, birds, insects, flowers, fruits, trees and etc. Now, we are going to see about the vertical height or the level of the biosphere. You know, always we have the ocean, the land and the atmosphere. So, I have given the height in meters, 4,000 and below, then we have the 8,000 meters of height. So, this 4,000 and below we have the average ocean floor depth, that is in the ocean. So, on the ocean also we have aquatic biomes. And we have the mean sea level here. Mean sea level where most of the living things live. So, this is the land. So, above and below, this is the area where most of the living things live and survive. So, as we go higher up, we have tall mountains. So, it goes up to the height of 8,000 meters. So, there also we have living things, but most of the things are found in this level, that is mean sea level, and we have the aquatic biomes as well. So, this is about the vertical height of the biosphere. So, biosphere is made up of different ecosystems and biomes, different ecosystems and biomes. Now, what is a habitat? Now, all the animals have their own specific place for living. For example, birds live in the nest on trees. So, that is the habitat for the birds. So, each and every bird, animal and insect have its own place to live or a natural place, that is called as habitat. A wide variety of plants and animals live together in a particular habitat, that is called as biodiversity. So all the plants and animals living in a particular habitat is called as biodiversity. So you should be clear about all these terms. What is an ecosystem, biomes, habitat and biodiversity. Next we move on to the topic ecosystem. Now what is an ecosystem? Now we have plants, animals, insects, birds, everything living together. All these live and interact with one another with their non-living environment also. It may be land, sea or water. That is called as ecosystem. For example, we have pond ecosystem, sea ecosystem. So we have different ecosystems on the earth. Ecosystems may range from a smaller size, it may be a bark of a tree. Bark of a tree, what can you see on the bark of a tree? You can see some small insects, for example ants. You can see some small growth there, mosses and lichens. So that composes of a small ecosystem. For example, bark of a tree. So all these animals or insects or plants interact, live together with the non-living things. That is the bark of a tree. That is called as an ecosystem. So we have pond ecosystem, sea ecosystem, desert ecosystem. So these are the different ecosystem. Apart from all these plants, animals and insects, human beings are also present. They are also part of the ecosystem. Now, what are the different components of the ecosystem? We have the abiotic, biotic and energy, three components of the ecosystem. Now, this ecosystem, that is abiotic ecosystem, includes the non-living physical and the chemical things that is present. For example, land, all the non-living things. Example, land. Biotic components, plants, animals and microorganisms. For example, plants, bacteria, algae, all the small minute ones included in this. And the biotic components are categorized into producers, consumers and decomposers. Already you might have learnt about these three in the lower classes. So, what are these producers now? These are self-nourishing components of the ecosystem. So they are called as autotrophs, otherwise producers. For example, plants. Consumers, they depend on the producers directly or indirectly. So the animals that eat these plants are called as consumers. They may be directly or indirectly dependent on the producers. For example, goat. Goat eats grass, so directly dependent on the producers for its food. The consumers, example is goat. The common category of the consumers are primary, secondary and tertiary. The primary consumers depend on producers for their food. For example, goat. Secondary consumers are small, that is the carnivores. For example, a snake. The tertiary one are that prey on both the herbivores and the primary ones. For example, owl. So we have three types of consumers: primary, secondary and tertiary. Primary depend on the producers for their food, goat. Secondary are small carnivores, they consume the herbivores, that is the goat. Then the tertiary ones, for example, the top carnivores, for example, crocodile. Then we have the third category, that is the decomposers. These decomposers are organisms which are incapable of producing their own food. Incapable of producing their own food. So, what they do, they live on dead and decayed plants and animals. For example, fungus, mushrooms. They cannot produce their own food, so they thrive on all the dead and decaying plant and animal matter. So, the different components are abiotic, biotic. So, biotic is classified into producers, consumers and decomposers. Further, consumers are categorized into primary, secondary and tertiary. Now, we move on to the energy components. All organisms in the biosphere produce some sort of energy. They do work and they convert one form of energy into the other. For example, sun. It is the ultimate source of energy for the biosphere. Plants need sunlight for their growth. Similarly, human beings also need, and all the plants and the animals that live on the sea also depend on sun for its energy. So, sun is the ultimate source of energy for all the living beings on the earth. The solar energy is transformed into one form of the another for the different components. So, from that energy flow is absorbed either by the plants, by the human beings or the insects. So, for each and every thing that is present, living thing that is present on the earth, sunlight is the most important flow of energy. We absorb energy from the sun, that is converted into some sort of energy that is required for its own growth. Now, what are the functions of the ecosystem? The ecosystem is an interacting one between the fauna and the flora in the entire world. So, it is organized into various levels, that is tropical levels, food chain and food web. Food chain, you might have learnt in the lower classes what is a food chain and a food web. All these three are the important components. So, the functioning of an ecosystem depends on the pattern flow of that energy that is absorbed by the sunlight. So, it helps in the distribution of all the nutrients from one part of the plant or the tree, or it may be the human beings or the animals, for example. So, circulation of all the organic and the inorganic matter within the system ecosystem is called as the energy flow. Energy flow generally takes place in the hierarchical order from the level. It may be through the various levels. These levels are called as trophic levels. It may be from the lowest to the highest or from the highest to the lowest. So, we have various trophic levels. The chain of transformation of energy from one group of organism through another through these trophic levels is called as a food chain. And all this food chain is interlocking and interdependent with each other. That is called as the food web. Let me explain this with an example. So, we have the grass that is eaten by the goat. Goat is consumed by the Lion. Lion is decomposed after its death. So this is a food chain. Grass eaten by the goat, goat eaten by the lion. Now lion is decomposed by the decomposers. It is a food chain. All these grass, goat, lion and decomposers are interlinked and interdependent. One cannot live without the other. Suppose if there is no grass, the goat cannot survive. We don't have any plant or a dead plant or animal matter, decomposers cannot survive. So all these are interlinked and interdependent on each other for food. So it is called as a food web. Next we move on to the topic biodiversity. Now this biodiversity means all the living organisms, or we can tell a variety of living organisms. So it may be plants, animals and the microorganisms that live in the world or in a particular habitat. Now this is influenced by topography, climate, temperature of the place. Throughout the world, we don't have the same types of plants, animals, insects or birds, whatever. So depending on the topography, for example, on the hills and mountains, certain animals and birds may live. On the plains and on the deserts, so these animals are adapted to the different topography they belong to. Climate as well as human activities. So all these three, that is topography, climate and human activities, influence the biodiversity of a place. So the strength of biological resource of the place of the earth represents the biodiversity. It may be a small or a big diversity, and it has a very important role to play in the ecosystem. This biodiversity is very important because it maintains the ecological balance. Now already I told you about ecology. Now what is this ecology? Ecology is a branch of science that deals with ecosystem. And who are these ecologists? A person who studies ecology is called as an ecologist. Now always this fauna and flora cannot be the same, or it cannot be the particular animals or plants throughout the year. They are affected by human activities. So they may change from time to time. So because of human activities, there is loss of biodiversity or ecosystem, we can tell. So human beings should help the entire world to conserve all these ecosystems or to maintain the biodiversity of all these ecosystems. Otherwise, we are going to face the loss of biodiversity. So, the extinction of all these species, that is all the fauna and flora of the entire world, is mainly due to the human activities. Otherwise, it may be sometimes natural influence. What is this natural influence? Sometimes the climate may not be suitable for certain plants to grow or for an animal to live there. So that is a natural influence. A plant may become extinct or an animal may become extinct. So two important factors, human activities and the natural influences, are the very important factors for the loss of biodiversity. And it is the important duty of the human beings to conserve all these biodiversities. Next, we move on to the topics biomes. What is a biome? Biome is an extensive ecosystem, a collection of all that where all the flora and fauna are found collectively. So, all the plants and the animals that live in a particular place interact with each other, that is within the biosphere. And these biomes are defined by abiotic factors like relief, rainfall, climate, soil and vegetation. And this can be classified into two important biomes, that is the terrestrial biomes and the aquatic biomes. Terrestrial biomes are further classified into tropical forest biomes, tropical savanna biomes, desert biomes, temperate grassland, tundra biomes. So, we have some 5 classification of terrestrial biomes. Then we have the aquatic biomes, that is classified into freshwater biomes and marine biomes. Now, what are these terrestrial biomes? It is a group of living organisms that live and interact with each other on the land. So, the name terrestrial. Everything that is found on the land, all the plants and the animals. That is classified further into tropical forest. Now, already you might have learnt about the tropical forest. Where are these tropical forests found? So, on the earth we have the equator that is dividing the earth into two equal halves. So, above the equator and below the equator, nearly we have the Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of Capricorn. So, all these places include the tropical zones. So, here we find tropical forest. This is comprised of several subbiomes. It may be evergreen or deciduous forest. You know evergreen forest don't shed their leaves throughout the year. They are always green in color. Then we have the deciduous forest. They shed their leaves once in a year. For example, these tropical forests, they have the highest biodiversity and primary productivity of any of the terrestrial biome. For example, Amazon basin, river Amazon basin and the Congo basin, that is in Africa. You know, these regions have very dense forests and they are of great economic importance. Human settlements are found scattered here. They sustain their livelihood by food gathering, fishing, lumbering, and they don't stay in one place to produce food. They do shifting agriculture. These people stay in one place for 6 months, produce their food in a particular land. After harvesting, again they shift on to some other place for doing agriculture. So, it is called as shifting agriculture. Due to the humid nature of this biome, always there is heavy rainfall, forests are very dense, so it is very hard for the sunlight to penetrate inside, so it is always humid. So, people get affected by tropical disease like malaria, yellow fever, etc. Now, what are the trees found here? Rubber, bamboo, ebony. The important birds and animals here are bats, jaguars, elephants, monkeys and pheasants. And in these tropical forests we have rainforests. They are of great importance. The US National Cancer Institute has identified about 70% of the plants that is found here is useful for treating cancer. That is found only in the rainforest. For example, Lepaco. So, these forests are rich in the herbs. So, it is very important. The next topic is tropical savanna grassland biomes. These are found between the tropical forests and the deserts. This is found between 20° north and south latitude. These are generally flat. For example, Sahara in East Africa, and because it is present in the tropical area, it is generally hot and dry, and the rainfall is very low, otherwise moderate. So the grasses here are tall and sharp. Lot of grass is grown here. So the main occupation of the people here is herding. Pastoralism is a very important occupation, and the people living here are nomadic in nature. That is, they don't live in one place, they keep on moving from one place to another. So they are called as nomads. So nomadic in nature. The common animals that are found here are lion, tiger, zebra, giraffe. The flora is red oats, grass and lemongrass. Now of late, parts of these savanna grasslands are being converted into farmlands, which pose a threat to the wide range of all the fauna that is found there. For example, the population of big cats like cheetah, lion are dwindling drastically. The next topic is desert biome. Desert biomes, these are found between 20° to 30° north and south latitude, and this annual rainfall is less than 25 centimeter. It's a very dry area. So due to the lack of rainfall and arid condition, they don't have that much of vegetation to grow here, but there are special type of vegetations that grow here. They are called as xerophytes. These xerophytes are specially adapted to grow in the desert region. They have a very thick leaves that holds water, that helps the plant to grow. So xerophytes have special adaptations to grow in the desert. The desert soil is very saline, sandy, so agriculture cannot be done here. So what are the plants that grow here? Thorny scrubs, bushes and palms. The people living here are tribal people, and most of the time they practice herding and hunting. And they don't live in a particular place. Here also the people are nomadic. They move from one place to the other for better living conditions. That is to grow plants, to do agriculture. So the people living here are also nomadic. They settle in one place for some time, then they keep on moving for producing food, that is doing agriculture. Transportation becomes very difficult in the deserts, so it is done only with the help of camels. Reptiles, snakes, lizards, scorpions are found in the desert. And in the desert, always it is not a sandy place. A particular place called oasis is found in the desert. What is an oasis? Oasis is a fertile place in the desert where there is a source of water. How the source of water comes? From the springs. The people in the desert move. They sometimes settle near the oasis. These oases are fed by springs, and crops like dates, palms, figs are grown there. So all this is the importance of oasis in a desert. Temperate grassland biomes are usually found in the interior of the continents. So from the name grasslands, the temperature is seasonal, warm summer and cold winter. So the type of grassland depends strongly on precipitation only. Higher precipitation means tall and soft grass. If the precipitation is higher, tall and soft grass is grown. If the precipitation is low, the grass grown is different. So it is short and soft. So based on the precipitation, the type of grass grown is different. And this region is famous for wheat cultivation. Wheat is cultivated in plantations, and the entire growth is highly mechanized. Machines are used for all the process. It is a plantation. So highly mechanized system is involved here due to lack of farm labor. Pastoral industry is the main occupation. So slaughtering of animals, packing of raw and processed meat, dairy products, etc. is very important in these areas. The common birds and animals are grasshopper, wolf, bison, prairie dogs. And these temperate grasslands are given or called by different names in different areas of the world. So it is in North America, the prairies, in Eurasia, the steppes, in Argentina it's called as pampas, Australia it is called as downs. There are different names given to the different grasslands in the world. Then the last one in the terrestrial biome is the tundra biome. So from the name itself we come to know these are found in the both in the North Pole and the South Pole, that is extremely cold areas. So that is the tundra biome. The ground remains frozen. So for example, Greenland, Arctic and Antarctic region, northern parts of Asia and Europe. It is also called as barren islands. Why? Because it experiences long severe winter, short cool summer. Because of the low temperature and short growing seasons, the primary productivity in these tundra regions is very less. Crops cannot be grown here because the land is almost frozen. Not that much of human activities also. So people who are living here, they live in igloos during the winter time, and they live in the tents during the summer time. The population here is very, we can tell extremely sparse, and they don't settle in one particular place. They keep on moving from one place to the other. Arctic moss, Arctic willow, lichens, etc. grow here. The fauna that are present here are polar bear, wolverine, reindeer, snowy owl. All the plants and the animals that are found in the tundra region are adapted to the extreme cold. They have, the animals that are living here have thick fur to protect them from these extreme cold conditions. The same way, the plants also have their own adaptations to protect them from extreme cold climate. They have spikes. Then we move on to the next biome, that is the aquatic biome. So aquatic biomes means all that is present in the water. So we have the freshwater biomes and the marine biomes. Freshwater biomes, all these living organisms that live in the water absorb all the nutrients, and all the fresh water and the sea water are the place for these living beings. Freshwater biomes, we have the source of fresh water, lakes, rivers and ponds. So it is mainly influenced by the abiotic components such as water flow, volume of water, composition of oxygen and temperature. And human beings rely on these freshwater biomes for their food and drinking water. The water may be useful for drinking purpose, for crop irrigation, sanitation and industry. The plants that are found here are water lily, lotus, duckweeds. The animals that are found here are trout, salmon, turtles and crocodiles. Marine biomes are the largest aquatic biomes in the world. They comprise of all the seas and the oceans. They are very big water bodies, so they have a variety of plants and animals that are found here. And you know this, ocean and sea water, they have a constant flow. The water keeps moving. So this continuous body of salt water provides a wide range of habitats both for marine plants and animals. In the marines or in the aquatic biomes, we have a second habitat with the coral reefs. Coral reefs are very important biomes that are found in the ocean. Apart from this, where the fresh water meets the sea water, we have the estuaries and the coastal areas. That forms a second, that is the third biome in the water, that is in the marine biome. The first one, we have the main seas and the oceans, then we have the coral reefs. The third one, where the fresh water and the sea water meets, there are estuaries. There also we have different kinds of plants and animals. As the water provides lot of movement, the nutrients are circulated more quickly in the water than the terrestrial biomes. So there are nutrients that may be supplied very quickly in the water. So apart from animals, plants like algae, phytoplankton also grow in the water. Aquatic biomes are not only important for the plants and animals but also for the human beings, because human beings depend on the aquatic biomes for their food, for water, for leisure activities. Now, some of the threat that these aquatic biomes face is the overfishing, pollution and the rise in the sea level. So sea water is polluted. So what happens? All the plants and animals that are found in the sea are becoming extinct now. They face a threat because of human activities. Now, what is the need for the conservation for all these biomes now? This biomes extends from the deep ocean to the mean sea level to the highest or the tallest mountains. So the people play a very important role in maintaining the energy flow of this biomes. So they are the ones who maintain the energy flow for all these biospheres or the biomes or whatever it is, biodiversities. So it is the primary importance of the human beings to save all these plants and animals that are found on the earth, to conserve them for the future use. Now human beings destroy the natural habitats of all these plants and animals that are found on the earth. Mainly it happens because of the population rise. By human beings we pollute, so by pollution also, and we also exploit all these biological resources. We always make use of all these reserves that are found on the land, on the sea, and so we are the ones who exploit all the resources that are found. So what happens? It has an adverse effect of all the fauna and flora that is found on the earth. There are places on the earth that are both biologically rich and also it also faces a deep threat. So it is the duty of the human beings to save the earth, to take care of the earth and make it a better place to live. So in this lesson, today's lesson, let us have a recap about the entire lesson. So we have the biosphere, a layer that comprises of the lithosphere, hydrosphere and atmosphere. So we have it above and below the sea level. So I have given the average height in meters. Then what is the importance of the ecosystem, the components, the functions and the biodiversity. So components we have abiotic components, biotic components, energy components. Biotic components are further divided into producers, consumers, decomposers. Now in the consumers we have three types: primary, secondary and tertiary. Then we have the energy components also. The main energy component is the sun. Then we have the different functions of the ecosystem. What is biodiversity? What is loss of biodiversity? Then we have learnt about the biomes of the entire world, how they are affected by the temperature and rainfall. So the two important biomes are terrestrial biomes, that is on the land, aquatic biomes, that is on the seas and the oceans. Terrestrial biomes are further classified into tropical forest, tropical savanna, desert, temperate grassland and tundra, and I have given examples for all that. And in the aquatic biomes we have freshwater and marine biomes. In the marine biomes we have a second classification, coral reefs, and we have the estuaries. Then finally about the need for the conservation of all these ecosystems to maintain the biodiversities in the earth. Human beings are very important. So with that we come to the end of the lesson. Thank you.